Welcome to Wellbeing with Manny in conversation with. What we hear and what we listen to throughout our day can shape how we feel. If we feed and nourish our soul with wholesome conversations from everyday people, filled with positive stories that people can relate to, we may feel less alone and even inspired. We're all working through our own stuff, and sometimes you need to hear people's failures, successes, and everyday struggles. Wellbeing with Manny in conversation with is talking to everyday people about how they have journeyed life so far, with hopefully some amazing take-homes and some top tips for you. Thanks for joining us each week for another amazing conversation. It really is all about talking. So think, reach out, talk to somebody. Who will you have a conversation with? Hello everyone and welcome back to Wellbeing with Manny. So today we have another amazing episode for you. Today we are here with our very, very amazing friend, Ciaran Byrne, all the way live from New York. Hi, Ciaran.
Hello, Manny. How are you doing?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. How are you today?
Grand, thank you. Flying.
Thank you so much for being here. So for people that don't know you, Ciaran, who is Ciaran and what do you do?
I am Ciaran Byrne. I am a 40-something-year-old plasterer turned actor, Northern Irish born, living in New York City with my wife and two young daughters.
Amazing. And how long have you lived in New York for?
I have lived in New York since 2008 and the United States since 2002.
Okay, brilliant. And was it acting that drew you to go to the States?
No, it was the furthest thing from acting in the world that drew me to come to the States. I went to the States to build houses. I moved to Nantucket in 2002. I saw a movie with my mom one night called To Gillian on her 37th birthday when I was living in Northern Ireland, and the movie was actually set on an island called Nantucket. And I moved, basically packed up everything and moved to Nantucket, and that was it, really. That was the beginning of everything else. Luckily enough, I did have a friend of the family who had been on Nantucket and was give me a place to stay for 10 days or so whenever I got there, just to get my feet in the ground and get my bearings a bit. So it all worked out. Yeah, building houses is what drew me to Nantucket.
Amazing. So obviously Wellbeing with Manny is all about just talking to everyday people, people who I love, people who I know, who work really hard on keeping their mindset really positive and how they kind of journey through life and try to make the best of every day and try and think about their well-being, find space for that. How important is keeping a positive mindset for you?
Oh my gosh, it's everything. Without it, you can't have anything else. Mm-hmm. That's where it all starts from. Everything grows from a healthy seed, right? It's everything. I've been meditating for 6 years now, twice a day, for a total of anywhere between 40 minutes and an hour. And I know that sounds, wow, who has an hour to meditate? Where can I find the time? But the truth is, I don't have time to not meditate anymore. In a way, it actually doubles your time, because it puts you into a positive mindset, and your productivity level actually doubles. So I honestly believe we gain time by meditating.
Yeah. That meditation is something that comes up on these conversations so much. And I think meditation is something that really scares people. So as somebody who is obviously got that under control and really has that good daily practice, what would your advice be for people who felt like they couldn't find the space or didn't know how to meditate? Have you got any little tips that would really help someone to find some space or to just even start that journey of meditation?
Yeah, absolutely. I I found this. Is it okay if I say where I meditate?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I was struggling a little bit mentally myself in a few years back and had some health issues and felt I really needed help, and I didn't know where to anything I'd done or seen before. I didn't really know where to get it from or where to go looking for it. And I just happened to, through my gym, to come across this lady giving a talk on meditation. And her name's Emily Fletcher, and her meditation program is Ziva meditation. And it turns out Mabel, actually, my youngest, my 12-year-old, was one of the kids who helped Emily develop I believe it's one of the world's first like legitimate kids meditation programs as well. But I found Emily and Ziva meditation, and her whole thing was it's people are put off meditating because they feel I can't stop my mind from thinking, I can't stop my thoughts. And that's not really the thing about it at all. You basically just have to find a quiet space for yourself to sit for 5, 10, however many minutes you can, and just close your eyes and think whatever you think, and let the thoughts come in and out, and just be with yourself for as long as you can. And it just kind of built there. And I mean, honestly, I could meditate sitting in the middle of a highway. It's completely soundproof, and it's just giving yourself that time to sit and be with yourself. And for people particularly from my own background, I know being with ourselves alone is often the most difficult thing to do. So there's the biggest challenge of all. You know, what can I do if it's just me? You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's really good to hear you say that, because I was listening to a podcast that I love listening to the other day, and somebody who was really into their meditation was talking about it and saying that I think that's the key, is that people are put off from it because they think they have to be sitting somewhere and they have to clear their mind, and as soon as a thought comes in, it kind of, you have to start over again. But actually, the thoughts that exist in your head sometimes are just things that you have to sit with, and just notice that they're there. So just to have you say that that's kind of your way of doing it might just be a really comforting thing for some people to hear.
Totally. Well, you can't trying to stop your brain from thinking is like trying to stop your heart from beating. You can't do it. The mind thinks involuntarily, just like the heart beats involuntarily, is what my meditation teacher says. And it's true. And you just allow yourself to be where you're at, and that's it. It's really easy. And I didn't start this until my mid 40s, and I come from a different life entirely, of an Irish builder, and meditation. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, give me a break. But I know it has turned my life around entirely, and coming towards the end of my 40s now, I'm in healthier shape mentally and physically than I've ever been in my entire life. And I certainly know this, coming from my family, that through the last year and a half that we as a world have went through together, I hazard to think even where I would be at this point in time if it were not for the previous 4 years of meditation going into this time that we've all just come through. As my wife actually said to me, that there was a stigma with meditators, and I would get a little bit of teasing in the past about it. And when we were in the thick of this, my darling wife and life partner turned to me and said, "Honey, no one's laughing at you now. The whole world's meditating."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so true. And I totally see that, which is why I said at the beginning, you know, for people that have not tried it or don't know if it's for them, you know, I think nowadays it's just becoming so much more common practice. I mean, for me, I wish they would teach this in schools. I actually think that if mindfulness or meditation or whatever you want to call it was taught to our young people in schools, then it would really equip them going forward. I have to say, I really sometimes struggle with meditation. And for me, I think of meditation in a slightly different way. So instead of sitting somewhere quietly, for me, my meditation is going for a walk. So it's the physical action for me that I need to be moving somewhere. And that's my place, because I always have a podcast on or some music, and it does allow thoughts to drop in and out, but I'm much more present in the moment of what I'm doing, I think, because I'm moving, and that for me is just one place I found it.
Cool.
Yeah. So in terms of acting, which is obviously such a massive part of your life and your world, how does it we love each other a lot. And actually, as we just paused there, I must say, for people listening and watching, this is the best example of people meeting online and never meeting in person, but absolutely 100% knowing that person is part of their tribe. So we meet friends all the time. We have friends who have been in our lives since we were at nursery school, and we met during the pandemic as part of a kind of acting group that we were kind of part of, and it's lovely that we're part of it. But just, when you know someone's part of your tribe, you know someone's part of your tribe. So go on, you go.
When Manny was trying to be all serious there, doing her interview, and I was doing love heart signs and blowing kisses through it and telling you I love you. So that's the kind of immature person you've chosen to enter into the tribe. And anyway,
I needed that, because actually I don't need to be quite as serious. This is it. This should be lighthearted. This should be cool.
I'll be a grown up now. I'll be a grown up.
Yeah, could you?
I love you, but I'll be a grown up.
Yeah. So you acting and well-being sometimes can be a very, very difficult thing to balance, because I do feel that, as actors, everything is personal, because it's you. It isn't your work that you've necessarily submitted on paper. It's you. You go in and you're vulnerable, and your heart is laid bare for whoever you're in front of. How do you manage to keep on top of your positive mindset? How do you manage that with the profession you do?
That's a good one. There lies the biggest challenge of all, isn't it? It's just finding ways to be gentle to you on yourself, and to be kind to yourself, and say nice things to yourself, and focus on what you feel you did well, and know what's within your control and what's not within your control. And though it's an incredibly personal endeavor, it's also not in equal measure. It's never that people have a framework of what it is that they're looking for a certain role, and maybe a person's right for the role, but they're not right for the overall production. Like, I've often seen that happen. I frequently see the person these days who gives the best audition not get the job because they don't fit the overall box of the ensemble, like whoever else is already cast, that now there's like two people too similar. More and more that's happening. It's never about once you get in the room, it's no longer a question of talent.
I'm so sorry. In real fashion, someone's at the door. Just leave that there. Thank you. Just tell them to leave that there. Great, sorry, Karen. It's never been the best. Carry on. We'll edit that out.
Like, talent and ability is not an issue. When you're in the room, you're already good enough to be there. Yeah, so yeah. It's never about that. It's just and knowing that, and it can be a journey to get there, and that journey is all again linked to what you say to yourself and how you see things. And so what do you have to do to get yourself armored for that in the best way possible? And for me, as we said, was the meditation, and I won't keep harping on that, is also finding things physically to do every day, like you do, that make you feel good, like exercise, some form of exercise every day that like every day that makes you feel good, and surround yourself with positive people who say positive things, with like minds, with listening always to inspirational podcasts and stuff like Wellbeing with my friend Manny Crooks, and we can do hard things with Glennon Doyle, and there I just said Glennon Doyle and Manny Crooks in the same.
Yeah,
Glennon Doyle would be
I'm loving that.
He would be so proud. Glennon would be so proud.
I have a post-it note on my desk here of like wish list books, and I said to Kev, if anybody asks what I want for birthday or Christmas, there is a post-it note here. 2 of those are Glennon Doyle.
Oh my gosh, I know. We love Glennon. We love Glennon. Yeah. And obviously, I'm at the risk of coming across as Happy Harry. I like everybody else can sit in a dark room and curse myself to kingdom come. Yeah. But what good does it do? I've rarely felt good after any length of time doing that. It's just, and another thing I've started doing, I'm going to do it actually more. I don't do it as much as I should, is like waking up in the morning, and when you like throw cold water around your face in the sink or whatever, bid yourself good morning and say, hey, you, I love you.
Yeah.
You know, just like you tell your spouse and your kids, tell yourself, I love you as well. And frame what you, it's all about framing your words and your thoughts, because thoughts become things too. And I find a thing I do is I focus on what I want, on the way in which I say things, as opposed to, I don't want to be late. I don't want to be late. I can't be late. I can't be late. As opposed to, I'm going to be there on time and everything's going to be awesome. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You were going to say something, Manny Crooks, and I cut you off again.
No, it's fine. I was going to just interject with an extra thing for anyone who's listening and watching to read, which is just based on what you said about, you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. I'm reading a book at the moment by Mel Robbins called The High Five Habit. And it's absolutely amazing. It's exactly the kind of thing you were talking about. I think she was in her early 40s when she kind of got into this science of the fact that she was looking at herself in the mirror one morning going, oh my God, look at the state of me. Haven't I aged? Look at this. And you know, my boobs are down by my knees and my saggy tummy and all of this stuff, the negative talk that women of a certain age sometimes, not always, get into. And by kind of the one day in her life, she was just like, this has gone on too long. Why am I talking to myself like this? Why on earth am I doing this? So she just put her arm in the air and gave herself a high five in the mirror.
I love that.
And then she carried on doing it. And then I haven't read the whole thing yet, people, so there's no spoilers going on. But, you know, the whole habit of her doing that, it tapped into her body's primal instinct that told her brain, oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Somebody's putting their arm in the air. And she was explaining, I listened to her on a podcast as well, she was explaining how runners, when they come through the finish line, they're like, whoa, you score a goal, whoa, you go up to a teammate, you high five them. So your body, when you raise your arms in the air, tells your brain, I'm doing good, this is good. And that's, isn't it just the same thing as of looking at yourself and going, God, geez, do I look like that today? You know, it's like that feeds in, and we all, you know, we all do it. You know, you'd be a really exceptional person, and I'm super proud of you if you are doing it. But if you are doing that, brilliant. But if you are, you know, if negative chatter is seeping into your life, that is going to embed and stay, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it is. And it's going to be compounded by everything that happens, and it's going to attract more of it.
Yes.
So it's, Manny, something I wanted to, and I think this goes to the question as well, that this has actually helped a lot of my friends that I've told my friends I do this, that are maybe going extended periods of time without having auditions or callbacks, or don't you guys, don't the lovely posh English people call it recalls?
Recall, yeah. So translation.
Recall. I don't want to go to a callback.
Is a recall.
Yeah, I want a recall. I want a total recall, baby.
Don't we all?
So I went through an extended period of time. What I felt was an extended period of time, but what I learned was just kind of normal. A little bit of a lull in getting work, and I myself had come off um I'd come off of a TV show, and without sounding braggadocio, and felt like, oh, this is it. This is where everybody knows you. Like this is it. This is game changer.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. And I thought, like, that was it. This is it now. It's going to be, it's bump, 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 up and away. And I went through an extended period of time after that without anything, not anything at all. And I felt, oh my gosh, what am I doing? This is like a losing battle. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually write down what happened this week that was good, that what I felt was a win.
Yeah.
And it turned out that the wins, whether it be little personal ones, it could be you went for a 30-minute walk. It could be your daughter did great in the high school play. It doesn't have to be acting or job related. It can be, and that's great. But it could, because we're our own instrument. Like, we're not like an actor and then Manny, or an actor and then Ciaran. We're all one.
Yeah.
So if one part of us isn't working right, none of us is working right. None of none of it's working right. So it all counts. So I started my little book of wins in the back of my diary, and it became, there were so many wins. I couldn't keep it in the back of my calendar. I had to get a separate book for it, and none of them were big jobs, but more and more career wins kept popping up when I was charting my personal wins, which were 10 to 1 personal, 1 career. It started to even out. The career wins started to become even with that. So while I was acknowledging my success as a person in this world, and it can be really hard to be a person in the world, I was more acknowledging success as a father, as a friend, as a brother or a son. And then the other stuff comes when we're not focusing on that, and we're not valuing ourselves. Our worth, our own self-worth, isn't estimated by whether or not the phone rang for us for a recall today, or you know what I mean? So a little book of wins.
Book of wins. I love that.
Our wins.
This is something that I talk about a bit in a little community. I'm part of a wellbeing community about journaling. And it comes under that bracket. I think journaling is one of the best things you can do. And that could be anything from when you get up in the morning, writing down your intentions for the day. What do you intend to do today? And that could be tiny. It could be, I'd just like to have 5 minutes for myself where I just sit and have a cup of tea and read a couple more pages of my book. It could be that small, or it could be, I want to feel happier than I did yesterday, which goes a bit deeper into the heart of things. It could be anything. And then the other part of journaling could be a whole stream of consciousness. I love this one. A stream of consciousness that you do before bed. So you know how sometimes when you go to bed, your mind is just too full and it's really hard to switch off. And sometimes there's nothing necessarily cohesive that you can put together. But if you just blur it out like verbal diarrhea onto a piece of paper, you can then pick out what's going on. You can also prioritize some stuff, and then you can also get rid of some stuff that's taking time in your head that you just don't need. And then the journaling, like you do, celebrating your wins. You know, when was the last time you said to someone that you've just performed there, or that song or that dance, that is amazing, you are wonderful, and they've gone, thank you, I've worked so hard on that, I'm so proud that you said that to me. It's more, oh, okay, thanks. How do we not celebrate what we're good at? Like, you know?
And it's interesting, Manny, because I talk with my both of my daughters are entering into this industry right now, and one of them like behind the scenes, and Ella behind the scenes, and Mabel an actor. And I actually talk with Mabel about this. Is it doesn't matter what you're feeling after a performance. When someone gives you a compliment, you say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And you look like it's the greatest thing anybody's ever said to you. Because then when we make that about ourselves, that's when that's difficult for us. That's difficult for us to navigate. But now what we've done is we've transferred what we feel about ourselves onto a person who only wanted to give us a good wish. And that ain't right. We got to fix that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not professional, and it's not pretty. It doesn't look good. Whether it's self effacing, or whether it's false humility, it's just not a good look. When someone says what you just said, which if you said that to me, I would hug you and never let you go. I'd be like, oh my God, thank you so much.
Yeah, same.
If we're not feeling it, and we've had a terrible day, and we've just had to put our stuff aside and do our performance, and we just want to be left alone, we're in the public eye, and it's our job to be gracious and receive love graciously.
And also, because we're so self-critical as well, is our opinion of what we've just done ever going to be balanced?
It's not. It can't be.
No. And that's something that I struggle with sometimes with some of my students who I think are just the best ever. And they, sometimes I look at what they have to do in a week and think, that is a lot to juggle. Yeah. And sometimes they come in and they just blow the roof off with something. And then sometimes you tell them that and they can't understand it. They can't understand that the amount of times over my, years of teaching, someone will say, God, I was so worried. I didn't think you were going to say that. And I just find that so strange that, people should celebrate what they do well more. And I love your Booker wins. And actually what's lovely about that is saying that the more wins you recognize, the more wins you start to attract from elsewhere, a bit of a law of attraction situation.
Yeah.
I feel like you are, but are you quite a big believer in, putting out into the universe and she listens kind of thing?
Oh, entirely, completely. I wasn't always, but over the latter part of my life now is in latter years is absolutely, definitely. And I've seen the proof of it. It's not like just woo. I've actually seen it. I've seen it happen, and it goes to what you were saying: stream of consciousness before bed, which is a thing, which is manifestation also before bed. So when you go to bed at night, you set your intention, what you would really love to have happen, and who knows? Maybe it shows up, maybe it doesn't, but maybe something else equally as fun and good shows up. But yes, absolutely. I believe 100% thoughts become things. What we say to ourselves turns into our inner narrative, turns into our everyday reality. 1,000%. But at the same time, at the risk of coming off preachy, it's a journey. We've all got to find our way there. And some of us don't. And that's okay too, because like I'd said, it's really hard to be a person out there. I mean, if I find somebody that's doing it right, I want to keep that person with me, because I know I'm not doing it right. It's nobody's doing everything right, and there's just so much to learn about being a person in the world. So not to come off preachy or I've got all the answers, because I don't.
No. But the more that we listen to and the more that we can grow and learn, the more that we may find the right path. And actually, if you're thinking about manifestation, if you never put anything out there, if you never, put those dreams out there, then definitely nobody's ever listening.
Yeah.
But you take a chance and you talk out there to the world of, you know what, one day I might do this. Well, okay, someone could be listening. If you never say it out loud, no one is listening.
Absolutely. I do know for a fact that I manifested you guys.
Yeah.
In my life, I do know that. I asked for that. So, I wished.
And I saw we were just chatting a little bit before this recording about Wicked. I love Wicked. And we were talking, I saw on Twitter the other day, Ariana Grande had retweeted her tweet from 2011 saying that she would love to play Glinda, and that is her dream role.
Oh, wow, that'd be great.
So 10 years later, she is Glinda in the film. So it's 10 years, she said it, and somebody was listening somewhere. I mean, let's not talk about the fact that she's absolutely incredible. So she could walk the role. She was always going to play it, let's say, but she said it out loud, you know, and it was there.
Yeah.
So.
And it was there.
So one last little thing that I'd love to kind of ask you is, so this can be anything that you think would be helpful. So it's kind of like Ciaran's top tips, really. So we definitely know meditation is probably your number one, but just a few little things. If someone's listening to this and they're thinking, I just need to make a little bit more time for myself, or a little bit more space, or be a bit kinder, what would your kind of top advice or top tips be?
For that, it would be look for something that you love to do, something that makes you really happy outside of our daily primary focus. Find something else that you love as much. Particularly with actors, it's we want, this is our goal, this is our everything, this is our all, and it's not with me. It was when I was a young single person, but now that I'm a family man with a wife and children, their well-being is my primary focus. They give me joy. Knowing that they're doing well in the world creates like a peace of mind for me and takes me away from that. My daughter and I, I found tennis in my mid-40s with my youngest daughter Mabel, because she'd started a tennis camp, and that's something that we love as a family as much as we do the arts. And it takes us off of that like the gerbil wheel almost. We just got to get up today, headshots, meetings, recalls, like anything that like just it. I know it may be easier said than done, but if you're lucky enough to discover something else that brings you as much joy as what our chosen goal brings, I find that makes the days really great as well. And our goals become kind of go from being primary to secondary, and somehow they end up actually coming more to us when we're not focusing on it, when we're not thinking about it, when we're not wanting it. Yes. I don't know if that answers anything.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. Yeah.
To give to you, just to give to you.
Find the joy elsewhere.
If it's a chalk ice, go and eat a chalk ice. If it's whatever, if it's go and like actually stop and literally smell a flower. I've started doing that the last couple of months with my youngest daughter, Mabel, because she makes me stop, and she said, Daddy, stop and smell it. I want to see you sniff it. I want to see the flower on your nose. I want to see the residue. Like literally smell the, go for a walk, look at the sky, look at the moon, see a sunset, see a sunrise, even better.
Yeah.
Like just stuff that's amazing. And tell yourself I love you.
Yeah. Perfect. High five to Ciaran.
You're amazing.
You're amazing. Thank you so much for this chat. It's just been gorgeous, and there'll be so many take homes for people, which is kind of what I really want. So mega thank you for joining me.
I love you, Manny Crooks, and don't cut me saying I love you, or I'll just post it somewhere and tell everybody I love you. I love you, Manny Crooks. Thank you for having me.
I love you, Ciaran. It's staying in. Thank you so much. Thank you for being part of this Wellbeing with Manny community. It really means a lot to me that you can spare some of your precious time to listen to these conversations. Please share this episode with anyone you think would benefit from hearing these open and real conversations. And remember, talking is key. Who will you have a conversation with?